Oke, hello everybody. Selamat datang di Digital Tech Talk Over Coffee. Ini adalah kolaborasi harmonis antara iTELL atau Indonesia Technology Enhanced Language Learning dengan British Council Indonesia. Ini adalah seri yang pertama dan kita ada 900 pendaftar. Jadi silakan boleh ketik chat datang dari mana dan siapa nama Anda. And also hello to anyone coming from other country outside Indonesia. You can also type where you are from here. So this is the first webinar series. We are going to have 8 webinar series from today, 13th of April up to 25th of April. First of all, perkenalkan, nama saya Vinita, saya Director of Teachers Professional Development from iTELL, dan saya ingin cerita sedikit tentang iTELL. Mungkin sebagian dari teman-teman ada yang sudah tahu bahwa iTELL adalah asosiasi yang bergerak di bidang pendidikan dan teknologi, khususnya pendidikan dan pengajaran bahasa. Later on, probably Colm will talk more about British Council. Saya cerita sedikit, webinar ini sebetulnya awalnya just a small step, langkah awal dari kami teman-teman iTELL yang ingin berbagi cerita pada teman-teman tentang pengajaran menggunakan teknologi, tapi ternyata peminatnya banyak sekali, sampai ratusan. And we are so lucky that British Council would like to collaborate with us so that this webinar can happen and cater all the participants, almost 1,000 participants for this webinar. And today we're going to have a very interesting topic on exploring and integrating digital technology and learning materials. But before we start, I would like to hand over this to Pak Colm, the Director of English Education and Society from British Council Indonesia. You may start to kick off this webinar, Pak. The microphone is yours.
Okay, and thank you very much, Finita. And welcome everybody to this first webinar. I hope you're all comfortable at home, keeping safe. So all of us are at home across Indonesia. I myself am in Jakarta and it's just started raining outside. So I hope you don't hear too much of the rain through this webinar. And also welcome to everybody from around the world. And I know there are some people from the UK that have joined us too. We're really excited to have this webinar. It is the first of a series that we're going to be running with the British Council in partnership with iTELL, and we're delighted to be doing that. I want to say a few words really before we get started. First of all, I think in these difficult, challenging times as English teachers, it's really important for us to stay connected and have a sort of a community. And I think your first community are those teachers that you know, the other teachers from your schools that I'm sure you're messaging, that you're keeping in touch with. I'm keeping in touch with my team, even though we're all at home. And so as we have to embrace this situation that we're in and overcome the challenges, it's important to rely on each other. And today, this is, for those of you that don't know, we're kind of welcoming you to 2 other communities. So iTELL is a community of Indonesian experts in English teaching and specifically in digital, the use of digital technology to teach English. And of course, I am the Director of English and Education and Society at the British Council. And I welcome you all to our global community of English practitioners, English teachers, English experts. And later today, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you some of the free resources for parents, for teachers, for students, for teenagers, things that people can access online in order to continue their English language development whilst they can't go to school. The second thing I just briefly wanted to say about today is you're very, very lucky in that we have these incredible experts from Joe Dale from the UK and Pak Jati from Bandung, who are going to be sharing with you very innovative ways to use technology. And I know that some of you who registered are quite experienced in using technology, but I hope you'll learn a few new techniques, applications or webinars or methods or ways of doing things. But also I know that there will be many of you where the using technology to teach online is something quite new. You might never have done it before. So I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Everybody is at a different place in their learning and development. I myself am definitely not an expert compared to Joe and to Pat Jati. So even if you're a complete beginner, I hope through today's webinar you will see how, you know, the potential for how technology can be used, but also I'll be talking specifically about some resources for you to help you get started, to help you on that journey. So don't worry if you've never done it before, and if you're already an expert, I hope you learn something new. Lastly, obviously, this is a webinar that is online. We're all together. So this is synchronous learning. We're all in the same place. We'll also be talking a lot about asynchronous, things that you and your students can do in their own time. So for example, when you registered for this webinar, you all did that at different times, but now we're all here together. And after this webinar, you'll go away and you'll maybe look into some of these resources and develop in your own time. So again, we'll be talking a lot about synchronous and asynchronous tools for language learning. So that's all from me. Delighted that you've joined us. I'll see you later in the webinar. Get a drink, get a coffee, maybe get your phone, open another window in your laptop, because I know it's going to be interactive. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. We will share the slides and the recording later. But for now, from me, thank you very much. And I'm going to hand back to Vanita. Thanks, Vanita.
Thank you, Com. So I consider that this webinar is opened. Okay, before we start, I'd like to remind you that this webinar is recorded. Later, the recording version will be uploaded in YouTube channels. And also on down there on your tools, you can see chat box and chat button and Q&A button. You can use the chat button to introduce yourself or greet other participants. While if you have any questions, you can during the presentation, you can post it in the Q&A button. All right then. So today we have 3 presenters. The first one will be Joe Dale, the great Joe Dale from UK. I think I will pass this to Joe just to give a brief introduction about yourself and a brief summary of what you are going to talk about today. Hand it to you, Joe.
Okay, lovely. Thanks ever so much, Vanita. So my name's Joe Dale. I took part in the iTELL conference from the same room again on the Isle of Wight recently. So it's lovely to have the opportunity to come back and to speak to. We have 558 people in the room right now, which I think is the most I've ever spoken to in a webinar before. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So a little bit of background about myself. I used to be a French teacher for 13 years, teaching at secondary school level, as well as at middle school level on the Isle of Wight, where I taught there for 10 years and then 3 years at secondary school level before then. And for the last 10 years, I've been an independent languages consultant. I go all around the world running training on the use of technology to enhance language learning in particular. And I met Colm through the iTELL conference, which I've attended every year since 2013. And shall I start my presentation? Is that okay? And if I share my screen now, I'm going to go through a presentation with you now for the next 25 minutes or so. And then we'll have a few questions at the end. If you have a burning question, please put it in the chat and then we'll come to it in a moment. Sorry, at the end of the presentation. So I'm hoping everyone can see the screen. Vanita, can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. Clear enough.
Fantastic. Okay, lovely. Okay, brilliant. So those are my contact details. I'm Joe Dale on Twitter, and my email address is joedale@talk21.com. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask me about anything to do with this presentation or anything around technology and languages, then please just ask me. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, so let's kick off. Let's go for it. So I've called this online teaching where to start. I think what Colm said earlier about everyone is going to have different levels of techno savviness is an incredibly important point. And the idea of this presentation is not to overwhelm people or scare people. It's to support people. And you'll get the presentation at the end as well, which you can then have a look at. And I'm going to be setting you lots and lots and lots and lots of homework. So the first thing I wanted to the first thing I wanted to do, yeah, there we are, is we're going to run a Mentimeter. Now, probably a lot of you know Mentimeter already. But what I would like you to do, please, I'll give you the code in a second, is can you please all go to menti.com and put in the code 432557. So the idea of this part of the session is simply to see how you're all feeling at the moment about remote teaching. It's going to be a big challenge for everybody. Because some of you may have never done any of this sort of thing before using remote teaching. You won't know where to start. And the idea of this presentation is to give you lots and lots of quick and easy starting points, which will help you to structure your learning. So exactly. So the first message we've got up is challenging. I'm sure it is challenging for everyone. Let's keep them coming. You can have lots and lots of different responses here. Unmotivated. Oh wow! So if you're not feeling motivated, oh dear. Well, hopefully this presentation will motivate you. And I would suggest reaching out to your colleagues and asking for help. More people have written challenging, excited. Okay, not sure at all. Yes, a lot of worry, I'm sure, out there. It will take time to prepare. Nervous and excited in same measures. Can you see how this is all changing in real time? This is fantastic. Challenge. Overwhelmed. Okay. Confused with 5 Ds, is that? Okay, love it, challenging. Okay, so we've got a range of responses there. That's really interesting. Some of whom are very excited about the prospect, and some people seemingly are very worried. But you'll get there. The most important thing is that you do what you can do. You try your best. Nobody is expecting perfection in this situation, particularly if you're very new to remote teaching. So I can see there's 110 participants so far. I'll just let that refresh for a little bit longer. I've made this unlimited, so you can actually post as many times as you want to, which is fine. This is a really nice way of maybe having like an exit ticket at the end of the lesson. So in other words, the students can show what they've learned in the lesson by leaving something before they're allowed to leave the classroom, or you could use it as a starter activity as well. You could give them ask them, for example, to say what they did last weekend using the perfect tense, for example, and they're all posting there, right? Because I've got lots and lots of time here. I think people have got a good idea of how this is looking. I'm just going to click on the cog and click change layout and turn this into a word cloud. Let's see. Let's see how that's changed. Can you see? So the biggest word is the word that's absolutely fantastic. Someone should take a screenshot of that. So just to be very clear, with the word cloud option, the biggest word is the word which has been used the most. And as you can see, everybody, 500 and so people in the room, the biggest word is challenging, which I think speaks absolute volumes. So thank you ever so much for everybody. And I'm going to go back to my presentation, which is here. That was awesome. Right, so we've got a really good idea now of how people are feeling about remote teaching. And the vast majority of you are feeling that it's very challenging, which is completely unsurprising. So that's really great. Okay, let's carry on. Right. So with that in mind, I'm sure a lot of you maybe have had a change of mindset about the use of technology. Maybe some people who are feeling very confident about the use of technology before the lockdown are feeling, oh yeah, I'll be able to do this, I'll be able to do that, I'll be able to try out these things that I haven't had time to explore yet. Whereas some of you, as you've shown already, are feeling very challenged. Now, I'm a member of the MFL Twitterati, which is MFL-TWITTERATI, MFL Twitterati. And this is a group of language teachers, consultants, and associations in the UK and in Ireland, but the hashtag is used by people all over the world. And this was a teacher, Francisco, who posted this tweet the other day. And I thought it was particularly useful in relation to mindset. Now, you can see that Adam has replied, then Vincent has piped in, and then we've got Prof. MFL at the bottom. And essentially, as you can see, what Francisco is asking here, hopefully you can all read that, okay, it's big enough. But you can see, you know, would we see a boom in the use of technology in education after lockdown? Would schools use it as a tool to close the gap? For example, online intervention sessions, recorded catch-up lessons, etc. So that's a really, really good question. And that could be one of the, in my opinion, positive things about the lockdown, that afterwards, maybe teachers will have a change in mindset. And as you can see, Adam here, he's saying, you know, it's definitely something I will not be scared to use in the future, but at the same time, he loves being face-to-face with his class, which is completely understandable. I've seen some very heart-rending tweets from teachers saying, I'm really missing my kids. I'm missing the, you know, the discussion, the chat, the moans, the groans, all the rest of it, you know, teenagers being teenagers. And that's really lovely to see that, but at the same time, you feel sorry for those teachers that are really missing the classroom. Vincent points out, you know, the danger of technology making the gap worse. You know, digital divide, particularly in environments where there's not a lot of technology. Maybe the internet is not particularly strong, or students don't have access to devices, etc. So I think that's really, really interesting, and that's hopefully that's made you all think about maybe after this, when this is all over, how it will change your mindset as well. Okay. Right. So one of the main reasons I think I've been asked to appear on this webinar is because of this document. Now, this document I started about 3 weeks ago. I'm just going to show it to you live, but it's now about 28 pages, I think it is. It started off about 18 pages, and essentially what I did was I decided to collect together lots and lots of different links all around the use of technology aimed at language teachers in response to the coronavirus. So what I've done, because there were so many pages, I've put in these different sections: getting started, world language teachers share tips on remote learning, video conferencing tools, screencasting tools, and what have you. And I'm just going to give you a quick flavor. So this getting started document, that part, I mean, this is all sort of like ideas on setting up online teaching, advice from head teachers, some tools that you can use, which will give you structure. So there's lots and lots of links there. And then we go on to the world language teachers links. So different presentations that teachers have shared, different resources they've made available, some video conferencing tools. We're using Zoom right now, so advice around Zoom, particularly security. We're going to look at this one in a minute, that picture there. Google Classroom, Google Meet, how to manage your classroom that way, using video conferencing, Microsoft Teams, if you're in an Office 365 situation. And this is all available. I've given you the link a moment ago. Then we've got things like Loom and Screencast-O-Matic, which I'll talk more about in a moment. Flipgrid, which is good for asynchronous speaking practice, as well as lots and lots of other ideas. So that's just giving you a little flavor of all the information that's there. I've been taking part in quite a few webinars as well, and the webinars are towards the bottom as well, but there's masses and masses and masses of things to look at there. So I'm just going back to my presentation, but the link to that is, as you can see, is is.gd/tilt/Joe Dale. Now, the reason it's tilt stands for Technology and Language Teaching. And there was a face-to-face conference that was supposed to happen in April called the Tilt Conference in the UK. And because it was cancelled for obvious reasons, because of the lockdown, myself and my friend Helen Myers, who works for represents the Association for Language Learning, which is similar to iTELL, but it's the language association in the UK. And we decided that because the conference was being cancelled, that we would just do lots and lots of webinars to support teachers in this very challenging time on the use of technology. So I did the first one, and the recording is available on that document at the top. And we've had lots of other teachers taking part as well. So there we are. So so with that in mind, this is the webinar list. If you go to the link here, you see I've got links at the bottom of each presentation, sorry, each slide. So you can see here the forthcoming ones. We've got today, 8 till 9 o'clock BST. We've got Jane Bassnett, who's talking about Microsoft Teams. That's her follow-up session. And she did a fantastic walkthrough of Microsoft Teams on Thursday last week. And she's got like a sort of a clinic situation whereby she'll be trying to answer as many questions as possible. Then tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock BST, we have Jan Charmer talking about Class Kick, which might be new to a lot of you, which is like a learning management tool, particularly good for feedback and really nice for use in the classroom. And you can see all these other people that we've got lined up. All of these are completely free. And we've been getting not as many as 500 or so people in the room, but up to around 100 people for some of them, which is just wonderful. So if you want to check them out, you can come along, and you're more than welcome. And then at the bottom of this this link here, I've got my YouTube channel, and all the recordings of all the webinars are all stored on my YouTube channel, which is just Joe Dale 100. If you search for Joe Dale 100, you'll find it. I'm not checking all the chat, so if there are any good questions, we can do those at the end. Okay, right. Now, there have been lots of people who have been concerned or worried about safeguarding students for obvious reasons around the use of video conferencing. If you're using Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams, the Meet in Microsoft Teams. And so I came across this article, which was written by a former teacher, former assistant head teacher, Ross Morrison McGill, known as Teacher Toolkit Online. He has over 300,000 followers on Twitter, so I think he's the most followed teacher on Twitter. That's what he says in the UK. I'll just click on the link here, just to give you a flavour of the of what the blog post is all about. What he's done is he's collected together different resources from Zoom, which is this is being particularly focusing on, but a lot of the advice is appropriate for anyone looking at using video conferencing to have live lessons. Colin was talking about synchronous as opposed to asynchronous teaching. So that should be a very useful document or blog post that you can then send to your principal or head teacher to have a look at in relation to the use of Zoom. I think also Zoom have added some new features I'll talk about in a moment as well. For example, having a waiting room turned on by default. You would have seen that you joined via a waiting room. And to have things like being able to mute people quickly and easily, stopping them sharing their screen, that sort of thing to keep people as safe as possible. All of these tools, I think, have some element of risk, but of course, when you're talking about safeguarding children, it's incredibly important to follow the guidelines, and there are lots of schools who aren't allowing video conferencing for that reason, so that teachers can't look into students' houses and vice versa, to try and keep everyone as safe as possible. Other schools are embracing it and are doing live lessons. Okay, right, let's carry on. Right, now in relation to security, I'm sure a lot of you know Russell Stannard. If you don't know Russell Stannard, he's an amazing educator, English teacher as well. His website is teachertrainingvideos.com, and he's done a whole set of different videos all around Zoom, particularly one around Zoom security for educators. And I would say, I've watched quite a few of these videos around security, and I would say that is easily the best one, hands down. So I would really encourage you to go to his website. They're all on YouTube as well, but you can see here, you've got the Zoom security for educators. If you were to click on that one, that would that's about 18 minutes long, I think it is, and it's well worth watching. And this was prior to Zoom announcing new features within the interface, which I'll talk about more in a second. But I think that's a really, really nice set of tutorials, not only around the use of security, but also the focus on a teacher-centered approach, because it could be easy to have a very, student-centered approach. It could be easy to have a very teacher-centered approach when we're using Zoom or other video conferencing tools, or when you're creating tasks in, say, a Google Doc, and then you ask the students to complete it. It could be very sort of teacher-centered, but actually what Russell does very well, he's got a couple of videos looking at how you can make the approach more student-centered, which I think is an incredibly important point. Otherwise, it could be a bit dry and it could be difficult for the students to keep motivation, I think. So there's a big plug for Russell. Now, in relation to what I've just said, literally in the last couple of days, Zoom have updated their software. If you haven't got the latest version, I would encourage you to update. So you can see now there's a security button. So you can, for example, lock the meeting. So it means that nobody can then enter the meeting once it's started, so you can lock it. You can enable a waiting room, which is done by default anyway. You can choose whether participants can share their screen or not, which is an incredibly powerful thing. Otherwise, you'd have to go to the settings on the web-based in the browser to do that. You can turn off chat. You can turn off students renaming themselves. The invite button now is in a slightly different place on the right-hand side of the screen. As you can see, you can choose whether you allow participants to unmute themselves or rename themselves and what have you. So that's really, really handy. I think that Zoom have introduced those features, and therefore it makes it a more suitable environment for use in the class, because of course, I've said this on other webinars, all these tools we're talking about, Microsoft, well, not so much with Microsoft Teams, but certainly with Zoom and Google Meet, they're not designed with education in mind. But having said that, in the last couple of weeks, both Zoom and Meet and Microsoft Teams have introduced the close the room for everybody, like a forced shutdown, which wasn't available before. So if a teacher were to leave the room, the students could carry on, or if the teacher didn't close the room, the students could go back to the room later, whereas that's not possible now that you've got this forced lock, which is what teachers were asking for. So that's really good that the companies are responding so quickly to this. And yeah, there we are. Yeah, so that tweet there, as you can see, this was a tweet I sent on April the 9th about being pleased that they've updated their interface. So let's go back to here. Okay, so this was a picture which I came across on a Facebook group, which I'm part of, and I tweeted about it, and people, it was retweeted a lot. So what's happening in this picture is it allows you to use a second device as a document camera, which I think is very clever. The most important thing if you do this is that you mute your audio on the first device. So what you do essentially, you just log in with the same account to the Zoom session that you're running. You then either hold your device, I've got my iPad here right now, you'd hold your device, or you'd put it on, you'd prop it up somewhere between a couple of tins or on some books or what have you, pointing the back-facing camera downwards, because that will be the best quality one compared to the front-facing camera. And then you point it out whatever you want to write on a piece of paper, and then you can then do a grammar explanation or what have you, or give some students some feedback by writing on the piece of paper with your pen. So old school meeting new technology. So I think that's absolutely fascinating. I've tried it and it does work, but mute the audio on your first device, otherwise you'll get a feedback. Okay, there we are. Right, Wakelet. So I don't know how many people have heard of Wakelet, but it's one of my favorite tools at the moment for collecting links. So if you come across interesting resources, why not start a Wakelet, which is similar to sort of Flipboard or Pinterest. It allows you to make what they call a collection. You can then store all the links around a certain theme in a certain collection, and you can share that whole collection as one link. So this could be good for your own professional development, as well as creating independent activities for students. And there's also a contributors option as well with a Wakelet. So you could give the code to the students. They don't need to have an account to use the code. And then you could be building a Wakelet collection together collaboratively. So just to give you an idea of one, here's a link to a Wakelet which an educator up in Aberdeenshire in the north of Scotland has put together, all around remote learning. So she's come across lots of interesting links and articles, and she just saved them all in the same place on Wakelet. And the great thing about Wakelet is there's a Chrome extension, there's some iOS and Android apps. So whatever device you're on, everything can be saved in the same place automatically, which is just fabulous. Okay, let's go here. I've also put together one myself around educational podcasts, which again could be useful in a low-tech environment, because you can download the podcast beforehand and then do listening comprehensions based on that. It doesn't require a particularly fast internet connection. So that's some podcasts for you. Let's carry on. This one I'd like to try live, if that's okay. So this is called whiteboard.fe. I'm sure this is new to a lot of you. I'm just going to click new class and put my name in like that and click create new class. Right, can you all go to whiteboard.fe/G27? I'm going to do this right now on my iPad, and then I'll show you how it works. So G27, there we are. And it says enter your name. So I'm going to write Joe, and then it says join whiteboard class, like that. And then I'd like you to tell me how you're feeling about remote teaching. So I'm going to do a lovely heart because I'm loving it. And that should now, can you see? It's appeared here on the screen. So I'll just give you a moment to do your drawings, if that's okay. And I'm then going to mention that there isn't a default option for printing off all the results, but I'm going to show you a little trick in a moment once some more of you have drawn a picture. I have no idea if there's a limit to how many people you can have in a room at the same time, so it might be a bit challenging to do this, but let's see how it goes. I'll just give you another minute or so. Just draw a picture. That'd be great. So in a class of, say, 30, you could use this as a replacement for mini whiteboard. So you can only see your own picture, whereas I can see all the pictures all together. Yeah, I can see that it's being a bit demanding because there's so many people trying to draw. But in a real classroom situation, in a remote teaching context, you could give some instructions for the students and then they could all draw their little picture. Everything is deleted after 2 hours, I think it is, and you can close the room at any time by clicking on the cog top right. That's great. I think we'll carry on just because I haven't got lots of time. Now the trick now is I'm in Chrome now. If I click the 3 dots top right, can you see it says print? Now I've got a piece of software installed on my computer called Qt PDF, C-U-T-E PDF. So if I click on that now, this will come up. You see it says Qt PDF Writer. I can click print, and what that will do, okay, I tried this, it's saying print failed, but I think because it's probably because there's so many people accessing this, but when I tried this morning, it worked absolutely fine. So it allowed me to print the picture that I had done as a PDF. So then you've got the evidence of the work that you've all done. Thank you ever so much, everyone. I'm going to carry on now, if that's okay. Right, so that's whiteboard.fi, very useful for promoting speaking and for showing understanding. Screencasting, talked a little bit about screencasting already. I wrote an article which is here around screencasting in languages. So asynchronous videos, you could, if you don't know what a screencast is, you could just record the screen, which could be your PowerPoint, or it could be a Google Doc, or it could be a website, and you record your answer, you record a voiceover over the top. There's lots of links there on how to get started. People have seemingly liked that article. The most obvious screencasting tools, which are all free and work in similar ways, are Loom, which is the icon here, Screencastify and Screencast-O-Matic. My personal favorite is Loom. And here's an article by the TS, 4 reasons pre-recorded lessons are your best option. So if you're not allowed to do video conferencing live, why not look at the option of doing a screencast instead? Okay, again, this is a teacher here. I'm just going to show you this live. Talking about using Loom. This is Ms. Egan from Ireland. As you can see here, she's saying, cannot recommend this tool enough. So she's obviously really enjoying being able to record her screen, sending the link automatically to the students in Google Classroom or whatever you're using, Microsoft Teams, and she's good to go. Right, let's go back here. Here's a similar one from Rachel. She's talking about using Loom. From Ms. Grice, Rachel is saying, how does this compare to Screencast-O-Matic? I've been using that one so far. Ms. Grice says, can't compare because I've only used Loom, but it's so simple. The kids really like me to do it. Only downside is it can take a little while to trim or edit your videos, but I really rate it overall. So there's some feedback from real teachers talking about using these tools, which I'm referring to. Okay, Flipgrid. Now I know that Sheila and Grace are going to be talking about Flipgrid later on this week, but you may not know that screen recording is now part of Flipgrid, and I've tried it out and it works really nicely. So you could get all the students to screen share their own screens for sort of speaking practice around a picture or a website, whatever, what have you, and it all saves privately within Flipgrid. This is a school in the UAE talking about how they like using Flipgrid. We may not be face-to-face, but Zoom, Flipgrid, and Hangouts are the next best things, which I think is just lovely. There's also a new Chrome extension now from Flipgrid, which allows you to record in your browser as well, which is available on Chrome and Microsoft Edge. So that's something else. And the links are all there to find out more. Quizlet Live has proved a popular tool for remote teaching. You don't have to show the sliders on the screen. You can just give them the code and they can all have a go together. Some schools are having sort of competitions at certain times, doing it live. You can see here there's a school, Rainford High in the UK, that's saying Year 8 Quizlet Live at 11 o'clock today. And then they're passing the code through here. You can see on the right-hand side, this is a teacher from that school. Keep your eyes peeled for the next game on Google Classroom or show my homework. So that's a really nice way as well. Sharing the code with the students, they all play together and away you go. Right. Google Forms, Edpuzzle, and quizzes. I'm sure probably a lot of you have heard of these ones, but maybe you don't know that you can record audio within quizzes now as well. So you can make sort of listening comprehension questions. Here's a little conversation I had with, hang on, with, here we are, with a teacher. Here we are. So I asked the question, here we are. I asked the question, could you let me know if you're using quizzes, Gimkit, Quizlet Live, etc., to the MFL Twitterati. And then Andres got in touch with me. He's in Malaysia, and he was talking about using Google Forms, using quizzes. He's also been experimenting with the new audio feature in quizzes and doing listening comprehensions. And I've also then put together a Google form asking people to go through how to do this in a remote teaching context, step by step. So again, I'm trying to crowdsource from the community on how we can all help each other in this very challenging time. Have we got time for Shalala? I appreciate I'm maybe going over a little bit. Yeah, is that okay? Okay, I'm going to show you Shalala quickly. Shalala is similar to whiteboard.fi. Probably for a lot of you, you've not seen this one before. I know I presented this in the last session. I'll just log in quickly. Hang on, if I sign in with Google. There we are. I just sign in with Google quickly. There we are. Right. Okay. Hang on. Just give me a second. I thought I had a Google. Just 2 seconds. Here we are. Right. Okay. So I'm going to click on Draw Room. Like that. And click on Start Draw Room. Like this. And click Conversational and Start. There we are. And can you all go to shalala.com/draw and then put in the code, please. So just give you a moment to do that. And I'm going slightly over, but it'll be worth it on this. Seconds. So shalala.com. This is similar to whiteboard.fi. Also has a few other features. So again, I'll get everyone to draw a picture for me in a moment. If you haven't got a lot of time, I'm just going to click start so that people see how this works. Let's go for it. Right. So I'm going to do this myself. Tell me now, having watched the presentation, how you're feeling about remote teaching. So I'm feeling really good about remote teaching, so I'm going to put another heart. Let's have to submit. And let's submit again. You can turn off the grooving music as well. And as you can see, that's how it is on the screen. Cool. You can see I can download any of these images. If any of them are inappropriate, I can click on the delete option. Like that red one, I'm going to click on the little yellow circle. I click on an individual one, it will go to the screen for you like that, which is nice as well.
Hi Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is Colin. The sound app coming up about one of the apps now.
Yeah, if I click I'll click end drawing, sorry. And I'll click end drawing. There we are. I'm sorry about that. I made the mistake of leaving the music on. I'm sorry about that. But that would have given you a flavor of how that works. But the difference between this compared to whiteboard.fi, look at all that. Amazing. is
Go.
you can now, can you see?
I think we can have another go. We've got time because I don't need.
Okay, let's do it again. Okay, we'll do it again.
Without the
Sorry.
sound, and then people can hear your instructions. Okay.
No worries. Okay, no problem. Let's do that again. Hang on. Let's go back. Hang on, what's it doing? Let me go back to the beginning. Oop. Right, so there we are. Right, so we'll do it again. Sorry about that. Right, so start draw room. That's the great thing about doing things live, isn't it? Right, so you click conversational, you click, right, can you see that it says music? You turn off the music, always turn off the music, right. Then you click start. Oh dear, right, so it's a new code. So you have to go back to shalala.com/draw, press return, put in the new room code. So XY6MR. There we are. Put your name in again. Tap join room. Start drawing. Okay, so I will wait for a moment. I'll then click start. Again, I'd love you to draw a picture telling me how you're feeling. And then I'll show you how about remote teaching. And then I will then show you how to download the results as a PDF. Wow, look how many students are in the room. You're amazing. Okay, let's go for it, I think. Thanks ever so much for everyone that's wow, 100. Okay, I'll wait another 5 seconds. Amazing. I've never had so many people in the same room at the same time before, I don't think. Should we go for it? Let's go for it. I'm just going to go for it. Right. So now I'd like for you to draw a picture to tell me how you're feeling about remote teaching, having watched this presentation. So I'm going to tap on the heart. You do different colors as well if you want to. You tap submit. You tap submit again, and that will now start to appear on the screen. Lovely. So I can now, if there's ones I particularly like, I can add you to the masterpiece board. I can delete anything if I feel that it's inappropriate. Oh, that's a nice one. I'm going to click on the that one. There we are. So that lovely heart has now appeared. So I just give you a moment to to then put your answers on. So as you can see, similar to whiteboard.fi, this one's been around a little bit longer. If you want to create your own account, you need to use the following link, which is on the presentation as well, shalala.com/Joe, J-O-E, shalala.com/Joe, and that will allow you to create an account. So that's really fantastic. I think everyone has, or lots of people have drawn their answers. That's superb. I think I'm going to go to the top now and click end drawing, if that's okay. That's interesting. It's asking me to go to the bottom all the time because there's so many people. Okay, I'll just wait for a moment actually for you to draw. Literally the browser's not letting me go up to the top because there were so many new contributions all the time, which is hilarious. I do apologize for going over a bit, but hopefully you think this is worth it. This is amazing. This is making my my day. Okay, if you could stop drawing now, I'll then go up to the top. Oh, stop drawing now. Hang on. Let me refresh the page. No, I won't refresh the page. Let's go up to the top. Right. So, oh, there's all these new contributions. I've never done this with so many people before. I think that's why. Normally you would click end. Look, oh. Okay, stop drawing now, and I'll go to the top. All right. And let me refresh the page, see if that takes me to the top. I think you get the idea. Yeah, okay. I think you get the idea. You basically, you click stop drawing. You can then click on the PDF of the masterpieces and download everything as a PDF. And that's it. I think that's probably giving you, I think it's not going to let me do this. Let me just try one more time. There's never a problem normally. It's just the fact there's so many people in the room. Yeah, you can all see it says, anyway, hopefully that's okay with everyone. Everyone's got a feel for how that works. I'll just go here. Yeah, there we are. And then just to finish off with, this is a presentation which I also really rate around the use of technology for language teachers. This is created by French and Spanish teachers, but the link is here. And it just gives you a really nice, it's a 2-hour webinar, and the recording is underneath as well in the link. So this is from Catherine Huselin, Heidi Trude, and Nathan Lutz, who are here. And they give some really good advice, for example, on use of technology, Wi-Fi, who's sharing the device, and this sort of thing. And it goes through some of the tools which I've mentioned already. So I would really encourage you to watch that. It's 2 hours long, but it will give you lots of other ideas around use of technology to support remote teaching, remote language teaching in particular. So there we are. Thank you so much for being such a lovely audience. This is my presentation. So it's the short form again of is.gd/iTELL online workshop. You can scan the QR code as well. You'll see that on the link there at the bottom, it says mfltwitteratipodcast.com. So I run a podcast with my friend Noah Geisel from Denver, Colorado. The last episode was November. We're going to be starting up again soon, but what with the lockdown and everything, we've been a little bit busy, both of us. But that's aimed at language teachers as well, and lots of voices from the MFL Twitterati that you can check out. And I think that was everything I wanted to say. If you want to contact me about anything to do with this presentation or anything around technology and languages, I'm more than happy for you to contact me via email or via Twitter. And again, a genuine thank you to the British Council and to iTELL for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it, and I hope you found this presentation useful. And that's me. Thanks ever so much. And I'll be here for the rest of the webinar as well.
Okay, thank you, Joe. That was a fantastic presentation. We got a lot of resources, and guess you give a lot of homework to all the participants to explore
Of course.
Technology tools that you provide to us. There are some questions here. Are you happy to select answering the question yourself?
Of course,
or do you want
of course.
some? All right.
That's fine. Shall I stop sharing the screen? Or shall I?
Yeah, okay. That's okay. I think you can keep it on.
Okay. Yeah. If we do a couple of questions, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
Can you access the Q&A button, or do you want me
yes,
to
I
read
can.
the
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
All
Which
right.
one would you like me
maybe
to do?
you can select.
Okay. Right. Okay. Let's. Right. So it says Zoom is pretty expensive for most students. Is there any cheaper but better application? So Zoom is free for up to 40 minutes with multiple users. And in lots of countries around the world, it's possible to apply for an educator account and get it unlimited. I'm not sure if that's the case in Indonesia, but so it's free for up to 40 minutes, and then you can just create another session after that. So from that point of view, and it's free for students, and they don't need an account to log in as well, which is very nice.
Someone also asked about the security of Zoom, because we heard that Zoom is not really secure. Can you explain a bit about that?
Of course. So that's why I used the article there by Ross Morrison McGill, because that pulls together all the advice that he's found, and then with the Russell Stannard security videos as well. That's the information that I found. I mean, how safe is any video conferencing tool? I think from the point of view of making sure that you've always got a waiting room, which is turned on by default now, and knowing the keyboard shortcuts or how to remove people or mute people or stop screen sharing, that's the most important thing that you can do as educators in relation to if they're taking your data and sending it to Facebook that they were accused of, which they've said they've stopped doing now, and they're analyzing your computer. I'm sure that's true of any video conferencing service, that it will have to know the sort of computer that you're using and your IP address. That doesn't mean that they're being nefarious about that and then they're taking that information. Now, I don't work for Zoom. I'm completely independent, but I think we have to have a common sense approach to this. And and if you're unhappy about using a video conferencing tool, then I've given you lots of suggestions on how you can use asynchronous means through screencasting and some of these interactive activities that you could do. You could do asynchronously with, say, no video and audio only, or lots of ideas in that Google Doc that I shared with you, 28 pages of homework on lots of other tools that you could use asynchronously. For example, Quizlet Live, they've just introduced a single player option, and there's various things like with GimKit and Kahoot, you can create challenges which can be done independently. So there are ways of conducting yourself without using live lessons. So that's one of the challenges. Do you go asynchronous or stick with synchronous? Right.
Okay, thank you, Joe. There is one typical questions usually asked by Indonesian. Because in Indonesia we have limited internet connection. Can you give an advice of any tools which doesn't need high bandwidth?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the presentation, I would say podcasts are a really good idea. So I'm sure, in fact, I know Colm's going to talk later about on the British Council website, there are resources that teachers can access for that are podcasts. But there's lots of authentic podcasts you could access. You could download or ask the students to download the podcast and then create, let's say, a Google form, which could then be self-marked. So a Google quiz. If you go onto YouTube, you do a search for how to turn a Google form into a Google quiz, or just for Google quiz. That's very simple to set up. You can it can be marked automatically. So I would suggest those sorts of ideas where you can download the content beforehand and then do the activity in your own time. So I would avoid using sort of video conferencing and downloading videos because of the bandwidth need if you're in a school or in an environment where you don't have a fast connection. But audio podcasts, I think, are perfect for a low-tech environment.
Okay, one more question for you. I recap from some questions. So, of all the tools that you know, what's your favorite one?
No, I'm asked that question all the time. It's a very difficult. I mean,
I know,
and it changes all the time. At the moment, I'm loving whiteboard.fi because I've only just come across it and I can see how cool it is. I really like Clips by Apple because it does live titles. So, for example, you can talk into the video camera on your device, on your iPad, and it will turn your voice into live subtitles. I think that's very cool. I love things like Padlet for publishing multimedia content to an online notice board. I love it for speaking. You can record audio. So you could use what's called the shelf format and have different columns on Padlet. So the first column could be the teacher questions, and then the other columns could be the one column per student. They then answer the questions, all just using audio. You can moderate a Padlet as well. So the teacher gets to see everything before it goes live. I love Mentimeter, which I've shown you already in this presentation. There's just a few things really. I love that sort of interactive wow factor of doing things live, and things might go wrong as they have done today. But as long as you keep calm and you just go for it, then that's fine. And I think the students really like that as well when they can. And when I'm presenting at iTELL, people seem to like the live nature of presenting something live because they know that things might go wrong, but they really appreciate when they see what great things that can be done and the way that they can all interact together and give people the opportunity for promoting student voice and what have you. Any other questions, or are we all good?
I should close the Q&A session, and thank you very much, everybody, giving a big applause to you at their houses.
Thank you.
All
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Joe. And now we are going to move on to the second presenter, our beloved President of iTELL, Pak Jati. Are you ready? So Prajati is our president, the president of iTELL. Is going to talk about something. I don't know, maybe you can just tell a little bit about you yourself. Probably some of the participant doesn't know you already, and you may start your presentation directly. Hand over to you, Prajati.
Okay, can you hear me, Finn? Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm going to do a presentation, very short one. It's a very short one. It's more on British Council website and how to build a bridge on that website before you use the self-study and before you use the materials there. I'm going to go real quick on that, and then we can have a discussion. Basically, if you are not an English teacher, if you teach other subject, then a lot of website that's very good, but you have to think carefully to look at the aim of the objective of the learning, and then to look at the bridge or activity that you can create. So I'll do some demo on that. Can you see my screen then, Quinn?
Yes, Pak Jati, we can see your screen.
Okay. Okay, so this is the menu that we're going to have. I'm going to talk about digital world very quickly, and then learn English for British Council org. That's and then how to create an bridging activity. I'm going to use a Mentimeter like Joe. Then I'm going to go to teach English, look at 1 or 2 resources and lesson plan and activities, and then how to build the bridge. So basically it's that. Digital world. mobile phone. That's digital world. With the mobile phone, you can go to banking with money. You can ride a taxi right now using your mobile phone. That's never happened 20 years ago. You can ride a Gojek. You can buy things or you can sell things. And education. The education always comes at the last. I don't know why, yeah, when it's related to technology. Okay, now, when we talk about education, at the beginning, there are resources for teaching and learning. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And tools for communications, in the series later will be taught by Grace and other panelists later within the week in this series. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence as a helper in teaching and learning. But today, I'm going to talk more on British Council learning resources. This is the website for self-study, for learning. So it's suitable for self-study material, and then we're going to explore some of them. Let me go to the website. Let me check. No, not this one. Sorry. I got problem with the sharing. Just a second. Baby boomers get lost with this. I should
Need any help, Pak?
Yeah, but screen sharing. Wait a second.
You have to share your screen, not only PowerPoint.
I know, but then
There.
No, the button of the Zoom is covering. Yeah, this one, covering at the top, covering the maneuver for that. Okay, now this is the Learn English website. When you look at that, there are skills. So basically, there are many resources that you can get from here, and the students, they can learn on their own. Look at an example. For example, if I take a pre-intermediate here, then I'm going to do a listening, for example, about transport and announcements, and click that. Then you will have the audio there. You have the preparation, what you have to do, a kind of exercise. Yeah. Carrots, what is that? For example, you put that. Oh, no. Space, no. Yeah. So this is the exercise for preparation for the students. Then they have the transcript there. They have the task, multiple choice. They have the task too there. And also they can download a worksheet when with a low-tech if there is no internet connection. So as a resource, it's a very good for high-tech when they got the connection, so the student can work on their own and then they can score themselves. Or if not, you can download the worksheet and a PDF. Now, the problem with this, sometime when you introduce the website, if you're just talking about the vocabulary and then off the students working on their own, probably they will not do it. They are not really interested in listening to a transport announcement. So as a teacher, we have to think about how to build a bridge, how to make the students so that they go to this and do the exercise. I'm going to give you some tips on that. Let me try this one. Okay. I stop sharing just a second. I got problem with the button. Okay, now I'm going to share Mentimeter with you. And this is the activity to bridge so that the students will. So the connection is a lot slower compared to Joe. Now, yeah, go to Mentimeter.com and the code is 589460. Look at the picture and write down 3 words that came in your mind. Okay, I'll show the picture again. Okay, and hide there. Okay, as you see, that's the biggest, the center is London. So almost everyone, most of the participants right now, they writing about London there. Okay, now I should stop there. So this is for vocabulary. Now, next questions. Who are those people? Okay, I stopped there. So mostly tourists, friends, and visitors. I think that's 3 words that's there. Some are friend, yeah? I move to the next questions. Search 3 interesting places in London. If I give you £1,000, which places are you going to visit? Sorry, should be which places are you going to visit? Should be S there. Okay, so mostly you're going to London Bridge and Big Ben. That's the most popular there. London Bridge, still Big Ben, and Museum, Buckingham Palace. That's another interesting place. Thank you. I should stop there. So you got the sense, yeah? Let me move on. Okay. Now, that's an activity before you ask your students to go into the website, to go to a Learn English website here. Before they listen to announcement. Right now, when you see, if you bring them with a picture, help of vocabulary from them, you ask questions and answer from them, then the relation of announcements that you're traveling will become relevant. So that kind of activity that we need to bridge Indonesian students into English when they're talking about London, because Indonesia and London is just too far. So you need some activities before you assign your student to go to the website. There are a lot of resources here, vocabulary, even up to business English and so on, and skills, listening, reading, and writing. When you go to reading is very similar. For example, if you put A1 and there is another reading here, a poster for exam and candidate. When you do this, again, you have, before you go to this, you need to think simple activities to bring your students emotionally. Why should I do a poster for exam candidate? Things like that. So you have to go through that before you use the material, so that the material become relevant to your students. Okay, so that's, let's move on to the next slide. Kayaknya panas banget, jadi aku agak keringetan. And also, I'm a baby boomer, so it's look like I'm a little bit gaptek here. Okay. Go online. Going to share another screen. Yeah. Okay. More on teaching English. If you're an English teacher, maybe some of you or most of you are already familiar with that. Teaching English org. There are resources, there are activities, there are lesson plans, and many more. I'm going to look at later on a lesson plan, and now going to use, for example, fake news, the lesson plan and the worksheet. But before I'm using that, then I'm thinking of, again, bridging the activities with my students before I use that lesson plan from the British Council. I'm going to show you the web first. Okay, so this is the website. Professional developments there. We have publication, we have teaching resources. Yeah, I go to teaching resources, for example, then teaching secondary. There are activities here. If you click the activities, there are give you ideas how to create an activities for your class. For example, if you teach beginners, SMP kelas 1, kelas 2 mungkin, there are many activities that you can use. Mostly you can print on that. Yeah. Going to secondary, then I'm going to go to lesson plans. Let's see. Okay, going to intermediate B1. Then I'm going to fake news. So I'm going to use this for my next lesson.
Jati,
yeah.
Pak Jati, we cannot see your website. What we see is your PowerPoint screen.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Dipersori, yeah. Pak Tua is, yeah, you should have. Okay, now you see the website.
Yes, okay, great.
You have professional development here. You have publication, teaching resources. I'm going to do the demo more teaching resources. I've clicked the teaching for secondary. If I go there, then there are activities. I click activities, there are more. For example, you teach beginner, you click that. Activities for first lesson and so on. So you can explore later on your own. I'm going to show you how to build a bridge on lesson that I'm going to get. For example, I'm going to teach the intermediate B1. Then I'm going to take this one about fake news. So this is reading activities. The lesson plan you can download there. But before this, I have to think about, again, the bridge. Yeah. Now, I'm going to take you to my bridge in a second. Hopefully, I should stop sharing first. Then I go to start sharing screen. The problem is the bottom there. Okay. So back to here. Okay, can you see my screen, Vin? Okay, yeah.
I can see your Mentimeter.
Yeah, okay. So now it's going to Menti here. Again, go to menti.com. Then the code is 44, 32, 53. How long do you spend surfing the internet in a day? Yeah, get your mobile. 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Ya, ada yang lebih dari 12 jam, pasti punya toko online.
26 jam.
Ya, toko online. Oke. So 115, 100 and okay, I keep it there. So most of you out of 148 spend around 6 hours, yeah, in a day. Next questions. Where do you get the latest news from? Ya, 40, 61, 78. Ya, 200-an saya stop ya, supaya tidak terlalu panjang. Okay, 192. Okay, now online newspaper, very good, but some of you get the latest news from the Instagram. Must be looking for something to buy or something, latest news. Okay, mostly online newspaper. Some still, 6 of you in the newspaper. See, so this is another way of using Mentimeter. Yeah. Now, going to go to the next questions. How do you spot a fake news in the internet when you are online? Whack. So when it's a WA group, pasti fake news gitu ya. Bombastic titles, let's see. So when it's in Instagram, so it's fake. Instagram is quite big. Facebook. Okay, 160. Okay, I stop you there. So this is the activity that that you can use. It's only one using Mentimeter before you ask the student to work on their own, or before you give a lesson based on the British Council website. Yeah, I'm going to stop this sharing, and let's continue. Okay. How much time do I still have, Finn?
Like
5 minutes? Huh?
10 would be.
Then I'll make it 2.
Okay.
So, okay. So you can explore later on teachingenglish.org www.ecom.uk. Then I'm giving you a quick demo on before I use the lesson plan and worksheet, what I call it bridge. Yeah. Using a Mentimeter. So tomorrow, I'm going to talk about artificial intelligence for 1 hour tomorrow, mostly for learning in general, start from speaking and writing. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. And then the next day, that will be Proyek Cerita Digital. So if you're interested, you can enroll on that. Jadi saya bagiannya iklan sekarang. Vinita is going to give a meaningful, engaging, emergency remote learning and experience. Then we'll have Celia and Grace is going to talk about circulating students' ideas in online learning. Then Kakak Toar is going to talk about unleashing the potential of CMC in language learning. Then we have Lutvia, handling meaningful feedback in online learning. Because when I look at some of the question is asking on how to give a good feedback online learning. Then we have Daniel, a showcase from offline material design to simple online classroom management for the teachers. So that's relevant for the situation right now that you have to teach from home. So this is the series, the first series, and if we are running very good, and we have to find a way to have the second series, so series 2. Thank you very much. That's from me, and see you tomorrow at 6, and when we talk about artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Opa, Pak Tua. Everyone's talking about Pak Tua on the chat, giving you support while you are Nana Nunu with the...
Yeah, getting old right now.
No, you are still our master. Anyway, Pak, there are some questions. Are you happy to select your own, or do you want me to pick for you?
For me, then I'll try to pretend to answer it.
Okay. So some of, let me see. The questions, this is from Pak Ignatius. I'm interested with Pak Jati said in terms of digital world. I think it's because, oh, it's not a question, it's a comment. Sorry. Now, if I share great web of learning to my students, they just skip it but not exploring it with traditional reason. Not enough data to open it. Do you have any suggestion?
Not enough data.
Yeah. No internet connection, gak ada data. I cannot hear you, Pak. Oh.
Halo, tidak ada kuota. Okay, so and then when there is no quota, you have to think of low tech, like podcasts or flash disks that they can take home and things like that. No other ways. Kayak gitu. Kalau memang tidak ada data, dan itu banyak yang bisa dilakukan dengan podcast gurunya yang harus punya koneksi to the internet, then download it and then distribute it to the student using flash disk or using other means. There is no other way if there is no signal in the area.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Pak Jati, some of the classes cannot be done synchronously. Can you give suggestion how to bridge and asynchronously? What should we keep in mind when we want to bridge the student to the materials asynchronously?
Asynchronously is going to be very hard because you need a feedback. That's the importance of bridge. So the bridge asynchronously you can use WA group possibly, tapi agak susah. Ya, WA group that will be delayed, or if you have a Telegram that will be delayed conversation. But maybe if that's in a remote area, maybe that's still okay. Yeah, but to build a bridge, the most important is to engage the student emotionally with your material so that you can respond very quick. Itu kuncinya. But if you cannot have that, then you can have a WA group or other means. Kayak gitu, kayak.
Kayak gitu. And there are many questions asking the same thing. Is there any webs or application that can be used for bridging the materials other than Mentimeter?
There are a lot. I'm going to talk, maybe not me, but Chris will, I don't know. Similar to Mentimeter, like Padlet, Joe already mentioned that. What else? Interactive board, whiteboard, that will be a good to create the bridge, to build the emotion between the teacher and the students, because it's not just giving the vocabulary, giving the experience, so that, oh yeah, I dream to go to London, da, 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 da. So now I'm willing to listen to the announcement, something like that. Kayak
Oke,
gitu, kayak.
Kayak gitu ya Pak, cukup ya Pak ya, besokan
Siap.
lagi. Untuk para fans cukup ya, besok lagi sama Pak Jati. Okay, thank you Pak Jati for the nice presentation. Everyone, give applause at home. All right then. Now we are moving on to our last presenter. There will be two, Com and Christiana. Com, are you ready?
Hi, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, okay. So without further ado, I will hand the microphone to you, Com. The microphone is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Vanita. And well, we still have 651 teachers and educators in Indonesia and around the world. So thank you very much for staying with us. It's a long session today. So maybe it's time for us all to have a stretch. You know, you can have a stretch, you know. Sometimes we spend a lot of time every day looking at the screen. It's good to have a break. So I'm going to have a stretch. You can all have a stretch at home. Thanks so much to Joe and to Pak Jati for those sessions. We've recorded this webinar, by the way, so we will be uploading it, and we will be sharing both Joe's and Pak Jati's slides. So we've got about 7 minutes. I haven't got very long. I'm going to share some British Council resources with you in the remaining time. So stay with me. I know we've been here for a long time, but stay with me and I'll see if I can share my screen with you all now. So I'm going to share my slides. So hopefully you can now see my slides. Vanita, can you confirm that?
Yes.
All right, so let's go through this relatively quickly. Again, you'll get a copy of these slides and you will all be able to explore these resources in your own time afterwards. There's about 6 slides that I'm going to go through. First of all, I want to explain what the purpose of the slide deck is, okay? So during this time where everybody is at home and teachers are having to teach from home, we think it's more important than ever to support English teachers. And so to help you, we have gathered together as an organization our resources for you as English teachers, and feel free to share those resources with your networks, with other teachers who are not perhaps in this webinar. And the aim of this is to help you to deliver effective online teaching if you have now moved online, and to support other teachers that you work with. We're especially keen, as I said at the beginning, to foster collaborations, communities of practice. So again, you have your community in your school, we have our iTELL community, we have our British Council community. As well as, I mean, today we looked at websites like the Learn English and Teach English website, and a few digital applications. Also, especially in countries where bandwidth is maybe not fast and internet connection is not so great, we need to look at low-tech resources, such as using television and radio content. I think Pak Jati briefly mentioned even just sending an email or WhatsApp is a very good way of keeping in touch with your students, and it requires less of an internet connection. But underneath all of this and underneath the use of technology, we really, really want to emphasize the importance of, you know, good teaching practice or pedagogy. Okay, so your use of technology, the success of that really depends on your skills as a good English teacher in the classroom. Okay, it's not the technology that's going to make your lessons great. It's you as a teacher and how you use these tools. So good teaching practice, you know, is at the core of everything. You know? Technology is just a tool for you to communicate and continue teaching online with your students. All right, so please remember that in everything that you do. So you still need to work on a lesson plan and think through your lesson aims very carefully with every lesson. So let me go through some of these slides. The first one is it's called Online Resources for Teachers. So I'm not going to click every link here today, but you can. These are all hyperlinks. So if you're interested in doing more research, we have a range of free public publications around English language teaching, including the utilization of digital technology. So you could click here. We're in a webinar with Joe and with Jati and the iTELL team. The British Council has a number of webinars of our own, global webinars. So this is just really for Indonesia. I mean, if I click this, let's see the page open. I hope you can see this. So for example, there are a series of online webinars, and most of the webinars at the moment are aimed at online teaching. So you've missed a couple. There was one on teaching online.
Sorry, people can see only your PPT, so you have to stop sharing and then show the browser with the new.
Sorry, I was just sharing my.
No worries.
Slide. I'm going to share my desktop instead. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Can you see that now?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much. This is my desktop. So yeah, this is on the webinars. So if I click that link on my slide, you can see our forthcoming webinars and the past ones. So you've missed 3. This is about supporting and mentoring teachers remotely, tech tools and the tutor's role. These were in March and the beginning of April. But there will be more and more coming up. So this one is, you know, the 17th of April, the 20th of April. So these are British Council webinars. So just going back to my slides, there is a booklet for teachers about integrating technology into their teaching, which you can have a read through. And there's a specific link here for our Teach English Radio. Again, a series of podcasts to help develop skills as a teacher. I'll go into the next page. This page is titled really Teaching for Success. And this is a link or a page really about what I would call not just webinars, but online courses. So a whole course that you might do over a month, for example. You can do this online as a teacher. So we partner with a platform called Future Learn to deliver these courses. They are free. So for example, let's just click on this link, see what comes up. So this link is called Teaching for Success, Learning and Learners. It says, again, you can join the course for free. It takes about 4 weeks. So 2 hours of study as a teacher every week. It's a free course. And you can see that it's available now and you can join it today. So you can explore these links. These are not just a standalone webinar, but an actual course over about a month, 4 weeks in duration. So there are a range of different courses. There's another one here called The Classroom and the World, which is talking about or focused on integrating 21st century skills, tech and teaching, multilingualism, around the world. So there are a range of different free courses that you could sign up to. This page is by our Partner Schools Global Network. So we work with a lot of primary and secondary schools around the world. And these are resources that are specifically focused in response to COVID-19. We've developed a number of free resources for schools, parents, and learners. These include tips for children that are using the internet to make them stay safe online. You know, child protection is something that is very important to us at the British Council, that young people are safe when they use the internet and that they don't make friends or give access to people they don't know. So this is a really good advice. This is specifically aimed at kids, so teenagers themselves could use this resource. Then there are some tips for parents and for schools, again, about developing a safe, effective policy for using technology for education. So have a look at those. And then what was great is that Pak Jati demonstrated the use of some of our British Council resources. So we have different resources for adults, for teenagers, and for kids. So I know that some of you who registered are teaching very young learners. So I just want to have a look at our, you know, we have a website called Learn English Kids, which you can have a go to. Let's have a look. Maybe there's a listen and watch. So this is our, what we call Learn English Kids site. So there are lots of activities and resources for very young learners here. I think if I go back, how to wash your hands in English. At the moment, we're all needing to wash our hands all the time to stay safe. So you could play this video to your kids, and then through this, they can learn some English vocabulary.
Technique, more memorable for little hands. So wet those hands and apply some soap. It's time for my big song. Rub the palms, 1, 2. Rub the knuckles, 1, 2. Rub the insides of your fingers.
All right, so you get the idea. So there's a video with music, and then there are games as a teacher or as a parent you can play. You can print the words, you know, so there are lots of things that we can, you know, you can do with kids. Just going back to this slide, it says actually COVID-19 support for parents. So I'm going to click on that bit. The British Council, oh, sorry, let's go back. This one, right. So on the Learn English Kids website, the British Council has developed a specific page for parents at the moment, because a lot of children are no longer in school, they're at home. So this is really advice for, you know, what the role of, you know, what parents can do to help support their children with their English or with their lessons at the moment. So there's lots of tips here that you can read through. And then just at the end, I just want to highlight this. There is also, as well as the British Council websites, we have a lot of Facebook groups. So you can join the British Council teaching community. There's even now a Learn English Parents Facebook page. You know, we can have a look at that. So this should open this is the parents site for young learners. And at the top here, you can see there's an advertisement for Learning Time with Timmy, another free online course, English in Early Childhood Language Learning and Development. Again, if I just click on the banner, it's gonna show me a link to the Future Learn platform. So this is another course for teachers and parents, maybe discover how very young children learn English as an additional language and how you can help them to progress. And again, this is available now. You can join it today. It's a free course. You can join it for free. This is going to take about 6 weeks, but only 2 hours a week. I'm sure we all have 2 hours a week at the moment whilst we're at home. So again, I mean, I haven't been able to go through all of these resources, as well as Learn English Kids. We have a Learn English Teens site. There's specific links specifically for teenagers. Obviously, we know teenagers have got very different interests than young children. So it's a different website with different topics and different types of activities that will be appropriate for your teenagers. And that really is what I wanted to cover. There's a lot for you to explore. Really, this is introducing a resource that I hope you will download and have a look at later on. So here it is. Oh, that's my whole presentation. So we'll be sending you a link to this later. This is the QR code for my presentation and all of those pages and hyperlinks. So I'll just leave that there for a minute. And again, we'll send you a copy of this in an email after the webinar. So you can take a photo, you can scan the QR code. I just want to go back for 1 minute because there's one other thing that I'm going to ask you to do. Is that the British Council globally, whilst many teachers, English teachers around the world are in the same situation, that we are now unable to go to school in many countries, we're having to teach online. We want to better understand the needs that you have, so that we can provide webinars and resources that are going to help you in this new situation. And so for that purpose, this is a different QR code. This is a survey. It's about 10 questions. It's the same survey for every country in the world that we're running. So, you know, we're getting this. I'm very keen as the Director for English in Indonesia to get a response from English teachers here in Indonesia so that we, together with iTELL, can help develop resources, webinars and sessions that suit your needs. So please, if you have time, you know, scan this QR code and do this survey for us. And I'm aware that we've gone over time, so you're still with us, I hope. We've got 590 at the moment. I just wanted to really thank Joe and thank Pakjati ever so much for their time today, you know, for their expertise in sharing how, you can see how technology can be used in such an interactive and exciting way with your students. We recognize that not everybody will have a fast internet connection or a laptop, but we're getting there and these things are getting better. And so maybe this is the future in one sense of what English language teaching is going to look like. I don't think technology is ever going to replace teachers, but teachers who use technology are probably going to have a better chance of keeping their jobs in the future than teachers who don't use technology at all. But pedagogy comes first, always. How are we doing for, well, Finita, I wanted to,
Yeah.
Can I give Christiana 5 minutes? Because Christiana is going to tell us about tips for parents.
Yeah, I think we can go on. Probably some of us will be leaving because it's already Maghrib time, but I mentioned that probably we can finish in like 10 minutes maximum. So we can have Christiana for 5 minutes, and then would you like to take some, would you like to answer some questions, or?
People can keep writing questions, but right now, I know some people might have to go, and I know it will be prayer time for some people. This whole recording is dead, but I think while we have Christina with us, for 5 minutes, I'm going to let Christina, because I saw a video that Christina put online from Romania, and I wanted to share her experience with all of you, because Christina is not only a teacher, she's a mum. She has a 10-year-old son learning from home. So without further ado, I'm going to finish here, stop sharing, and I'm going to hand over to Christina to give some tips for parents.
Thank you very much, Colm. So I've been a teacher educator for the British Council online courses for 10 years, and I've worked with thousands of teachers all around the world. But as Colm said, I'm also a parent, and I realized that while we have tried to offer a lot of support to teachers, there has been very little support for parents. And actually, we imagine as teachers that when we send all these materials and activities to the learners, they actually deal with them on their own, which is absolutely not true. We have to be realistic. Parents' help is necessary. So I made 3 videos. I put them in the chat for you. And you can find them also on YouTube for online schooling. Very briefly, I want to show you some tips for asynchronous platforms. From what I heard today, this is what you mainly use in your country. So my tips for parents are, from the perspective of a parent and a teacher educator, is first of all to help the learners get organized. Quite often we think that children and teenagers are very good with technology. Well, no, they aren't. They are good with playing games quite often. Some of them are, but not all. And they do need our help organizing all the materials they receive from school. So if we have them create a school folder and then create separate folders for each subject matter, and then rename the materials they receive, including the subject and the date. My son finds it logical to include the date when he received the materials. I find it logical to include the date when he is supposed to hand in the homework, but I let him organize his materials as he wants. I just gave him a hand. Then we should also try as parents to give our children autonomy, because yes, we have to help them, but we don't have to do things for them. So for instance, in our case, I created a personal email account for my son, but I connected it to my email so that I have complete control what goes in there. As Joe was saying earlier, it's very important to keep children safe online. We can show them different online tools like the ones we had today, and always remember that the materials are sent for the children to practice, not for the parents. Then they receive quite a lot of materials, as we said, on asynchronous platforms, and they have to work on them. Quite often they look at the screen, they write in a notebook, they look at the screen again, or they just copy everything in a notebook if you don't have a printer, which is our case as well. So I found it very useful to teach my son to work in Paint or any other similar tool, online tool, in which electronic tool actually, and they can write directly on the materials. If it's a PDF, you can take a screenshot and then they write on the PDF, on the image actually, you save it and you send it to the teacher instead of having them copying everything because you can't print the material. So this is a very simple practical thing that we are doing, and it has worked very, very well for us. I think even if we are not in school, it's very important to create a timetable for our children. Now you have some freedom because the school doesn't dictate what time the children have to work, but you as a parent should try to create some regularity, some rhythm in studying. So if your child works very well in the afternoon, then have an afternoon schedule. It's perfectly all right. Just make sure that you have that rhythm going on every day. At the same time, they should know they have to do something, to do some online studying. And of course, include some breaks. That stretching that Colm showed us is very useful for learners as well. My son studies on a synchronous platform with some asynchronous materials as well. And I make sure that in between classes, he stands up. We sometimes do a silly dance around the house, whatever it takes to make him move and stand up and just turn away from the screen. And finally, I think although it's easier in some contexts to use asynchronous platforms, from time to time it is good to have a synchronous meeting. And if the school cannot afford that, many of you here seem very savvy in terms of technical matters. So you could actually suggest that you host a meeting. It's very good for the children to see each other, to see the teachers at least once a week, even if they don't have the opportunity to have regular online classes. Just making sure that they stay in touch, that they feel that they were not forgotten by the school, they were not forgotten by the classmates and the teachers is very important. Because after all, what we all want is to give the children that feeling of comfort, that they are not living in a completely different world. It's still the same world, we just have to make some adjustments. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. That was great. Really, and I think maybe this is just the first of our webinars. We will have many more, including this series from iTELL over the next 10 days. And I'm sure, Christiana, you will be very happy to come back Maybe
Absolutely, anytime.
a longer session in the next couple of weeks. So really, just the last words for me is to thank everybody. I just wanted to highlight what I've been reading the chat also, and there was a particular person called Erlnya Abidasari, and she said that she had put on makeup today because she thought she was popping up in our meeting.
I did too.
I'm really sorry, Erlnya Abidasari. Next time we will invite you, and we will have more engagement from all to come and share your experiences too, and to come and talk as well. So this is our first experience as a webinar, but next time we'll have meetings and webinars, and we will engage and let everybody have an opportunity to share. So I'm going to just say thanks and hand back to Finita to wrap up today's webinar.
Okay, thank you, Com and Christiana, and thank you everybody for staying with us. Almost 2 hours webinar. And then just a couple of information before we finish. First, tomorrow, not today, tomorrow you are going to get an email from us. The content will be about the survey and then the form where you are going to get your certificate. So you will have to fill out the form to get your certificate. And after that, the materials, the PowerPoint will be in your email too. And this video is being recorded. So wait a minute, can everybody hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay. Because I saw that Com is freezing. All right, let me repeat. Tomorrow you will get an email. The content is the survey from British Council, and then you will get the form that you need to fill out for your certificate. So from each webinar, you will get 1 certificate. If you join 8 webinars, you will get 8 certificates. And also the PowerPoint, everybody's asking about the PowerPoint. It will be sent, the link will be sent to your email too. And the video, this webinar is recorded. We are going to inform when this video is uploaded on YouTube. And I heard that Joe will also upload in your channel.
Yep.
So I think that's all for today. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow. The session will Pajati about artificial intelligence. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Joe, Christiana,
Thank you,
and
Joe. Christiana, thank you.
bye.
Thank you very
My
much.
pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
It's been amazing.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.